Well, hello, you wonderful people. I'm Amy, or AWayfaringFrog, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today, we're back with another Sims 4 speed build, and to be honest, I'm currently, as of this video going live, away on holiday in Scotland, and so I did a bit of pre-recording. Because I had an interview fairly recently, I kind of got behind on videos for that. And so I just didn't have enough of a backlog. So I thought we would do a little starter home because I needed something quick. And I am historically way too much of a perfectionist to be able to do a full build quickly. So here we are, we're doing a little starter home. And I figured we might as well go ahead and make it limited pack as well. So it's actually going to be in the world of Evergreen Harbor. We're doing a limited pack build with Eco Lifestyle, an expansion pack that's been out for quite a while now. And it's quite a fun world. It's very industrial and we've got container homes in it. So we are building a little container home, starter home right now. And as you can see, we've currently got 3 containers, one at the front, 2 stacked atop each other, and then one at the back. The one at the back ends up going away. I also tried to offset the ones at the front of the build a little bit just to add some more interest, but I ended up just having it quite square because the build is so small. I feel like it gets away with it, and I think it ends up looking quite cute. So I do hope you enjoy the process. I'm just figuring out a little bit of the exterior here. I knew that I wanted to have a rooftop garden as well as a little balcony for the the only bedroom to walk out onto. So that's what the middle portion is, and then that rooftop garden. I'll add a ladder from the outside going up through that little arbor that I made, which I've just used one of the base game fence pieces. It's a low-lying one, and just created that little kind of fake roof piece, which is a pretty good technique if you haven't used it before. It's actually quite cheap actually. I can't remember how much that fence is, but it doesn't cost too much. But here I've just squished everything back to be in line with each other, so it's much more square. And I do think it looks better, even though it's not as interesting. It's such a small and simple build that I think it's fine that it's very square. Sometimes a square build is just the right shape. I am now just figuring out the interior layout. So I started with the bathroom. I was a bit unsure on where to fit this because I wanted to make sure whenever I do a starter home build or something like that, a limited pack build, I want to try and make sure I use all of the items from the pack where possible. And Eco Lifestyle was so good for that because all of the items in that expansion are really cheap. Part of the whole premise around gameplay in it is that you do a lot of recycling, reusing, and everything. So there's loads of items that I think had that in mind, and so they're really inexpensive and great for starter homes, which I really liked using. I did use the bathroom items as well. They're a little bit odd because, again, I think they're meant to be made from recycled plastic, so they have these weird little extra accents to them. But it was kind of fun to use them here. There isn't a shower though, so I did just include the bathtub, which is quite expensive. It's one of the most expensive items in the house. It did mean that I had to really budget on the bed, which you'll see when we get there. But there's a few items like this sofa, which you may not recognize, and that's because in Eco Lifestyle, there's a lot of furniture that's actually locked behind a bit of a gameplay wall where you have to carry out a lot of work on the fabrication skill, buy a fabricator, and then once you've got high enough skill, you can start fabricating certain items. So the sofa, that dining table, and the 2 chairs that are currently there, I do replace the dining chairs later, but those items are all fabricated. So you have to go into the debug menu in order to access those from the buy catalog. So a little bit odd, and if you do have an Eco Lifestyle and you don't build that much and you don't necessarily play with that part of the gameplay, you might not realize there's all of that furniture just locked behind this gameplay wall. So definitely worth checking out if you weren't aware, because some of the furniture is so cute. I really like that sofa, for example. And in the back, I just added in a candle making station. I figured that could be the main method of money making in this particular house. It ends up being really, really close to the budget. It's only about 17,000 simoleons, but it's because this lot costs 2,500. So I made sure to factor in that cost as well as the cost of the house. So we're actually building on the lot where the Caboose, which is I think it's a bar rather than a lounge. It's the generic lot that comes with eco lifestyle, and it's meant to look a bit like a train station due to the fact that it's around a load of train tracks. But I've never really liked it. And to be honest, the first time I ever visited it in game, there was the neighborhood action plan. I think it's called Sharing is Caring, where everyone can just essentially steal without it being illegal any item in your house, and that goes for community lots. And so when I came to this bar, because I hadn't played with eco lifestyle that much, I didn't realize that was a thing. And then suddenly the bar was just empty, and I was like, well, this is a awful build, absolutely awful. So it's always got like weird, I've just got mixed feelings about it, because I just remember thinking how bad the build was. But honestly, most of my experiences with the Caboose build has been where the furniture has just been removed by all of the Sims. So yeah, mixed feelings. But I really like this lot, and I love how when you enact certain neighborhood action plans like the modern development and the Go Green or whatever it's called, it's just so filled with beautiful lush greenery. So I really wanted to build here. I am now just decorating the bedroom. As you can see, I fiddled around with the wardrobe as well as getting in this little bookshelf item. Again, most of these items are from the crafting part of the fabrication, which comes in eco lifestyle, including the lamp that I've put at the bedside. The bed isn't one that you can craft, and that is the really cheap bed that I mentioned. So I think that only costs like 100 simoleons, if that. It's the one that you're meant to be able to get from dumpster diving. So not very good or comfy for your Sims, but it works in a starter home, and I figured, you know, you just replace it as you go through your gameplay. If you did want to download this build, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery just under my EA ID, AWayfaringFrog. It's also under the hashtag AWayfaringFrog, and the information for that, including information on the lot, is all in the description down below, so be sure to check that out. And if you're enjoying the speed build, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and enable notifications so you'll know when I next upload a video. I don't often do starter homes, but as I mentioned, I really needed to actually just build something and quickly. I am working on a fire fairy build as well, so watch out for that. But anyhow, I've talked over so much of the decoration at this point. We've pretty much finished furnishing the living room. I'm just jumping outside to figure out a little bit of a garden space, because there's some nice gardening items in eco lifestyle, like this tall unit, and then there's the little bug box. So I wanted to make sure to include those for a bit more gameplay and just pretty decoration. And also it's going to end up looking quite sparse outside, because as always with any limited budget build, I have a habit of prioritizing the interior. So there's not too much outside, but I think I managed to make it look nice still, despite that. And I am also just doing a little bit of landscaping. So due to the fact that this lot is actually, like, I haven't done any terrain paint on this lot until all of the green that's appeared. And that is just the generic terrain. Whereas in most builds, the generic terrain is probably grass or maybe a concrete or something. So this one's a little bit odd. It just looks very dirty and not nicely paved. So I went ahead and grabbed the eco lifestyle terrain paint, which is just this plain concrete, and it kind of matches in and blends with the surrounding area. It really annoys me though that the edge of the lot doesn't meet up to the pathway, so there's a little gap of where that weird default terrain is. So we just pretend to not see that because I can't do anything about it. Anyway, in order to do a bit of landscaping, because of all the concrete that I've added around, there's not much green space. And I kind of think it made more sense being much more built up in that way. I ended up grabbing these little kind of bean-shaped grassy areas, which are from the eco lifestyle debug. There are also some in base game. They are found in Oasis Springs, but these ones had a much more lush green color to them, although there is only one shape. So I did my best with the one shape, and I've tried to go for like a weird little yin and yang design with it. So on the front and the back, we've got that. I do end up taking one away from the right hand side because it just started to look a bit too samey, and I think it looks cute. I do add a few flowers in a bit later to bring in some color, And it's not really an item I've ever used before, but I just wasn't sure how else to landscape this lot without those. So I'm really glad I found them. It's a nice debug item that I didn't realize that I needed until I needed it. And anyway, I am just adding in those little flowers as I mentioned. And I mean, this is actually quite a short build because it's just a little starter home. So we are coming to the end of the speed build portion of the video. I have been doing little tours at the end recently, just because since I started using Facecam, it felt like it would be a bit more fun to do that. And I find screenshots often don't help show the whole build. It can still be a bit confusing to follow. So I personally have always liked having a little tour at the end of the simmers that I watch. It's my preferred way of watching a speed build, but I didn't think it really worked without a face cam. And so until recently, I just didn't think it was a good idea to do, because I felt like a lot of the time you'd be staring at still screens while I sort of talk about a section. Whereas with the speed build, you can just see it moving as I speak. But with my face cam, you've got something to stare at. Maybe not your favorite thing to stare at, but it's something. So there's that. But just before we do head into screenshots, just adding some wallpaper. I added just a generic one that I had on the exterior initially so that I paid for it because, as I mentioned, it is a limited budget build, so I didn't want to buy too much furniture and then not have enough to paint the walls. But I do think it looks really cute. The bedroom is a little bit sparse, and so is the bathroom. There's actually no toilet roll, but it's fine. Sims don't need toilet roll, and it's expensive for what it is in the game. But anyway, I'll catch you very shortly for the tour. And welcome back to the finished build. So as I mentioned, we're just on this little bar lot, so bulldozed the little train station, and I think it looks so pretty with all of the greenery from the neighborhood action plans. If you're not sure what that is, you can cheat them. So the ones that I've just added are green initiatives in Port Promise and modern development. And it just makes the whole world look so much prettier if you weren't aware of that little hack. You can also do it through gameplay, of course, but why when you could cheat it? So to start with, the landscaping is pretty simple. As I mentioned, I mostly just use these little boxes, planter boxes, I don't really know what to call them. They're little landscaping pieces from Debug. Outside as well, we have a selling table underneath this nice little arbor with our candle making station. I figured that would probably be the main method of making money for your sim living in this house. And then just around the back, we've got a little bug box as another activity. I've also planted some of the soy plants, which you'll need the wax for to be able to do candle making. So I thought that would be quite useful. And then inside, the front door is just at the side here with a little planter pot, and the entrance opens up to the little kitchen diner. So you could maybe extend this out with counters if you wanted. Going through there, you end up in the bathroom where we've just got this nice little unit, which is super cheap, and just some cute little items from Eco Lifestyle, which I don't use very often, so that was a bit of fun. And then the living room is pretty simple. The TVs in this game, or in this pack, are really cheap, so I made sure to include that. It's an item that you have to get from the dumpster, I believe. And then going upstairs, where you need to use the ladder to get there, because it is a tiny home, you'll end up in the kind of long, skinny bedroom. It's the only bedroom in the house. There is just a little window here with a tiny bookshelf, and then this wardrobe piece. So it does need a little bit more work, but it's the starter home, so it's a start. And outside, we've got a couple of lounges. I used the base game ones because they're considerably cheaper than the ones from Eco Lifestyle. There's a cute little bench, and then if you go up this ladder, there's the rooftop garden that I mentioned. So really tiny little build, but I think it's super cute, so I hope you do too. But as always, if you have enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button. It really does help the channel out. Make sure to subscribe and enable notifications if you haven't already, so you'll know when I next upload a video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the screenshots. Bye for now.